This is an optimal settings, options, and controls or keybinds guide for Ashes of Creation. I'm going to show you all the best settings that you should toggle on that aren't on by default, as well as just a different way of playing the game, a more optimal, more old school World of Warcraft and Arcade way of playing this game that kind of ignores the silly action combat method. So if you're more into playing it Guild Wars or New World style, you can ignore the controls section, but let's just get right into it. One thing I highly recommend for all games, if you have an NVIDIA card, is to run these settings. You right-click your desktop, and then go to Adjust Desktop Color Settings. And so by changing the bright, just change all of your settings to this. By doing so, this makes colors more vibrant. This makes the screen brighter, so especially in Unreal Engine games, you will be able to see in the dark way easier. You'll see a lot more details, and this is also really useful for first-person shooter games, and it's also, again, very useful in Ashes of Creation. However, my recording here, the video footage that you're seeing, does not reflect these settings because I don't know why my recording software does not show these changes. The first thing we're going to cover, and this is going to be very basic because there are people out there that do not know how to do this stuff, so if it sounds like I'm babying you, it's for them, okay? We're going to push escape and go to game options. I put game settings on the screen, but it's game options. Alright, and we're going to be talking about all of these. Starting with audio, I recommend something that doesn't blow your ears out. This really depends on your sound system, your headphones, everything that you have. I have a 20-year-old Astro mix amp with a $14 JVC headset with one of the ears blown out. So I have my master volume pretty low. Also, I don't want the volume too loud, otherwise it makes YouTubing pretty hard. But you can use whatever is comfortable here. There is no optimal setting, though I would recommend having your volume high if you're in a PvP zone, so you can hear other players attacking monsters while walking around or casting abilities. Display. Now, I have VSync on. I'm going to tell you why. Currently, the ability to limit your frame rate within the game's options does not work or is not enabled. Now, I know there's outside third-party programs that you can use to limit your frame rate, and I recommend that everyone limits their frame rate to whatever their native resolution or their native refresh rate on their monitor is. I have monitors that are from 2010. They are over 15 years old, and yeah, they're still not broken. I'm a poor boy. I'm a broke boy. My monitor's refresh rate is 60 Hz, and so I don't want to go above 60 FPS. And to do that, I have VSync enabled. And the reason I am doing this is, back in the day, when New World was in early launch and in alpha and in beta, it was frying GPUs because the frame rate would spike so high that it just killed the card entirely. And I have done lots of research. I have only found one instance of one person claiming that this game somehow fried their motherboard, but there's no proof of their claim. And so just to be safe, you should really limit your frame rate just, until, the game releases. And a little bit beyond. You can't be too careful with these things. I always live by the rule, if something bad can happen, it will. And this is your preventative measure so that your computer doesn't explode or die or whatever on you, okay? And I'm not joking around. I'm being serious. So I want to talk about graphics, and I don't recommend you copy what I have, and I'll explain why. So, I'm having everything on high so that I can show the game off with the higher graphics, but if you really want to play optimally, you would play on medium or low, really dependent on your system. If you have a strong, super powerful computer and you're running things on low, it's actually going to lower your performance. That's just how modern computers work. But one thing that can help a lot of people are lowering shadows, foliage, and, well, not really textures. You don't want to lower textures. That makes the game look real ugly. View distance, lowering that, and global illumination, lowering that can help if you're struggling with frame rate or if you care about your frame rate. I have a computer from 2020. It's a GTX 3080 and an i9 10850K. Again, old computer parts, 64 gigs of RAM. I'm running everything on high, and in congested, high player areas, I get around 30 to 40 FPS. Out here, outdoors in a small village, I'm getting 60. It's pretty easy. As far as other settings go, you can play around with these, but I'm just playing on performance mode. All of this stuff was defaulted to me, by the way. Next up is under gameplay, we have camera and movement. This does not work currently. Setting field of view scaling, changing this does absolutely nothing. Maybe it'll work in the future. Now we're getting to the important stuff, combat, alright? So, show combat status on the minimap shows when your minimap is highlighted red. This means that you are in combat. And it also shows whenever there are enemies that have aggro on you, that means the enemy is trying to actively attack you. It'll show an arrow of where they're approaching from. So this is useful to see if things are chasing you when you're on your mount, and so on and so forth. Show damage vignette. This just shows damage that you take on the left side and damage you deal on the right side. I don't think this is necessary. Low health border intensity. Whenever you have low health, it'll have a border around your health bar. I don't think this is a really big deal. Attach player effects. You want to be able to see this so that you know what a player might be doing or casting. Effect cooldown numbers are also important so that you know when your abilities are about to be ready to be used. Now, one of the most important settings is auto attack settings. You want to turn on auto attack after abilities as well. And if you don't, you have to play this game New World style where you have to constantly mash your button to attack, and that is not efficient. That is wasting your actions per minute. You don't want to play like that. You want it so that when you use any ability or when you're attacking, it will always just be auto-attacking so you don't have to think about it. Alright, so abilities. Release to cast is nice if you are charging something, whereas pressing again to cast doubles your actions per minute. And then press to full charge, hold, and release to cast is just stupid. It's really backwards. I don't know any game that has controls like that. It's really going to mess with your muscle memory if you're actively playing other MMORPGs or have in the past. Trigger held ability after short hold. And yeah, so short hold just makes it so you can do actions quicker when doing hold abilities, which not all classes have. It's mostly for mage, I believe, and maybe ranger. Alright, so this one's also important for the PvP. Now, there is a way to grief players. If you are like, say, a rogue, and which I'm playing a rogue right now, and you go into stealth, you can stand next to enemies, and when a mage AoEs them, if they don't have these settings, it'll hit you and flag them for PvP, and then you could go gank them without any kind of penalty. And it's really funny to do, but it's kind of a dick move. But here's how to prevent that from happening to you. Alright, so, you're going to click Require Forced PvP to use harmful abilities on combatants. So if I'm a rogue and I'm standing next to mobs, and someone, like, does a blizzard or a chain lightning or whatever, and they don't have that setting, well, they're going to hit me because I'm a combatant. But, if they have to force their PvP flag on to attack me otherwise. Which is, if I run up and start attacking them with my forced PvP flag, then they'll be able to attack me regardless. So this does not prevent you from like defending yourself or anything like that. Don't listen to people that think that's what it is. Require forced PvP to use helpful abilities on unaffiliated combatants. So if you're a healer and you're tossing random buffs, or you're a bard and you're buffing in an area, and you tag someone that's PvP flagged, now you're PvP flagged, and then the friends kill you. It's a common trope, it's a common trap. You see it all the time so people don't build up corruption. It's really messed up, but whatever. Alright, floating combat text, you can alter this however you want. I left all of this stuff at default, and, you know, the numbers that pop up are fine. I don't need to adjust these. I've seen a few streamers that adjust this so that they're bigger, so that people can see it easier on videos. Not like crit montages or PvP montages. You might want to make the numbers bigger, but most people aren't content creators, so don't worry about that. Alright, so next up is targeting, and targeting, mostly default, but here's the thing, like right-click to target self, I don't like that because I use my right-click to swivel my camera. Also, click on field to deselect target, I don't like that either, because this can turn off your auto-attack, and for me, I'm used to just pushing escape, World of Warcraft style, but like, if I have this on, and I right-click to move my camera, and my mouse skips a beat, then I'm untargeting whatever I want targeted, so it's just easier for me to tap escape, and untarget whatever I need. And you know, if you target someone and they target you, then you know, you can see that they're targeting them. So if you don't want to like make eye contact, you just hit escape and be like, nah, I'm not looking at you, bro. But that's like a social thing. Anyway, open right mouse button menu when on targets. I never use a menu. I don't need to use a menu. I'm not playing RuneScape. Why do I need this, right? Ground target ability selection type, I just use normal. But you could smart cat once you know all of the classes, their ability range, how big the AoE circles are, you can just smart cast this so you don't have to do the normal targeting. and that'll save you some actions per minute, but I'm still learning all the abilities, so I have it set to normal. Show target of target. This is how you can see if people are targeting you. You definitely always want to have this. You can see what mob has aggro on you or the tank. If it has aggro on you and you're a squishy class, prepare your butthole. Alright, now show target cast bar. You want to do this for interrupts, for dodge rolls. You want to make sure you can see what the enemy, be it a player or a monster, is doing. Allow dual defensive and offensive target lock. You don't need this. Abilities requiring clicking target. You don't need that either. Soft lock, enable soft lock and tab targeting. That's dumb. You don't want this on. You don't want soft lock. And then you don't, I mean, you could have the indicator on and the reticle on soft lock, but these aren't necessary. Alright, so for player effects, you might want to have to turn some of this off in like a big raid. However, I have not done a big raid in this game, so I don't know how crazy it gets. I know in some other MMOs, especially back in the day, Arc Age, you would turn this stuff off so that, you know, the game runs smoother, because otherwise you're going to see like 10 million spells when everyone's fighting a big monster, and they can really drag your system down if you don't have a good computer. But for regular gameplay, you kind of want all of this stuff on. Alright, so party and raid. Now, if you like hover mouse over heals, if you're a healer and you like mouse over healing, you want to turn on enable hover target for party members. Now, I'm not sure if this only applies to the health bars on your UI or if you're also targeting an active character on your screen. I love mouse over healing when it's just the UI, but not the in-game world. I'm weird like that. I know most people aren't. I've learned that through my fellowship videos. Alright. When in a party, show allies in raid frame. This is just personal preference. I like party frames rather than raid frames. And I don't know why you use party frames in a raid. That would just be way too many life bars, but you do you. And then everything that I have here is default. I just figure, you know, this is easy enough to learn. But if you come from another video game, for instance, in World of Warcraft, the tank is usually brown or orange. Maybe, it really depends. Warriors are brown. And so you might change the color. But hey, I'm going to use the default colors and learn the new color scheme. For interface, and don't worry, we didn't skip key binding. We're going to go back to this last, alright? So just hold your horses. I kept everything default. I don't want my right mouse button to open a submenu on items. There's no reason to do that. I don't see a reason to have a delay on your tooltips or anything of the sort. So under interface, the HUD heads-up display, there's nothing that you need to change. This is all personal preference. I have everything set to default, and again, you can change it however you want. Same thing for nameplates. I kept everything at default. Now, if you're used to other games, you can always change these things, but like for PvP, in Arc Age, a PvP flag player was purple, so I'm used to that color, so I have no reason to change it, but you could change the display distance if you want to see people from further away as they approach or as they ride around in the game world, but I don't really need to know people's names unless I'm interacting with them, honestly. For action bars, the show empty slots option has never worked for me. I'll try it now. And yeah, I like having the empty boxes in my MMOs, but Steven Sheriff doesn't share that vision, I suppose. But yeah, I just have it showing all the bars otherwise. But this option, it unchecks it for me. I don't know why. I don't know if that's just a me problem or if that's just the state of the game. For chat under community, let me close this. I have most everything default. I have showed chat timestamps. Unfortunately, there is no option for profanity filter, which I would recommend turning off. Don't be a little pussy. Alright, but it doesn't exist yet. So for chat tabs, the functionality is a bit limited compared to, say, World of Warcraft, but I have everything at default: general, social, combat, trade, and looking for group. I just have everything as it was, you know, set normally, but whenever they do add chat tab functionality, I would like to take a chat window on the right side here that will have a big empty space that I could use as a combat log. And I use this as kind of a player detection combat log that would only show enemy player actions, or other player actions if I want to be a ganker. That's how I would find players in World of Warcraft super easily if they were nearby without sound cues. Then I would add a window above this chat window that would be party guild chat, assuming I ever join a guild ever again. And I'm mostly a solo player on this channel. And whispers and party chat, and then take it out of the global chat. That way I can see all the drama in global and all the drama in guild separately at the same time. So under invites, if you're having this functionality is purely if someone's trying to grief you with it. Like if they're spamming friend requests constantly, party invites to try to make a pop-up on your screen and interrupt you while you're trying to fight someone, or if you're trying to farm something, you can turn all of this stuff off. Yeah, so there you go. Just turn stuff off if someone's trying to troll you. This is how you do it. Under accessibility, we have visuals, and I highly recommend disabling motion blur. And I also recommend just taking all of this stuff and moving it down to 0. However, I only have it on because, well, I'm a YouTuber and I want to show off the game. Let's talk about key bindings and movement. So I do have a lot of things changed, and this is mostly preferential to muscle memory from other MMORPGs. So I will explain. Set as X. This is what it was in World of Warcraft, I'm pretty sure. We have toggle sprint. Now, this shows middle mouse button. However, I have on my mouse, I have it reprogrammed so that one of my side buttons that I use my thumb for, one of my side buttons on the left side of my mouse, to act as middle mouse button. So this is really a side mouse button, but I do this for video editing purposes because it's way easier for me to use my thumb to middle click than to use my, middle finger to middle click. That's just how my hands are. I have toggle auto run to the tilde button. The tilde button is the button above tab. It is the button to the left of your 1 key and below the escape key. Toggle walking I have set to period, and this is if you want to do some like roleplay walks, so you can just kind of walk around and act like a cool guy, or like slowly walk up to someone and then, beat their face in. But other than that, there's no real reason to be walking in this game. Right, under action bars, the things that I have changed are to mimic World of Warcraft and Arcade. So weapon attack, this was default T in World of Warcraft, and so I changed that. I do not use the action camera, so again, I just don't use it. Guard I have as left alt. I figure this is the easiest button for me to hit with my left hand, while my right hand adjusts the camera and movement. It allows me to go in any direction that I need to go in combat. And I do plan to play a tank at some point. Dodge, I'm using shift as a modifier key, and so dodge is shift and then instead of middle mouse button. Again, for me, middle mouse button is a side button on my mouse. So again, I can block, I can dodge, all while moving the camera, all while circling my opponents, all while hitting all the skills on my keyboard. It is very easy for me to do. I have swap equipped weapon to Z. Now, this was sheath, unsheath weapon in World of Warcraft, so this is just a very comfortable button for me to swap weapons, alright? PvP force flag, I have this unbound, because why do this? You have to hold this button. I'd rather just toggle it, so I have Alt F, which is for most games, your PvP force flag, and so what that does is I push Alt F, which, again, Alt is block, and now I am force flagged, and then I can Alt F and unforce my flag once again. So it's just easier that way for me to do. General ability 1 and 2, these aren't used in the game as far as I know yet. Now let's go over my action bars. So again, this is how I had everything bound in World of Warcraft and Arcade. Though currently, unfortunately, you cannot bind Shift plus WASD X or I think Z. I forget exactly. But I have 1, 2, 3, 4 because these are very easy to hit without spreading my fingers too far. Q, E, V, R, because again, all these buttons I can hit very quickly while moving around in any direction. Action bars 9 and 10 would be Shift, WASD. However, this functionality does not exist yet, so I just do not have them bound. I'm waiting for it to be fixed. Action bar slot 2, Shift 1, 2, 3, 4, Shift, Q, E, V. Now, I would use Shift R, I am using Shift R, but it's not on this action bar, and I'll tell you why in a bit. So let's explain Shift G, which is kind of a weird button to push. Shift G summons mount, the G button mounts, and then Shift R is my sprint on the mount. So I can do this combo, all I have to do is shift my wrist slightly up, maybe, a few centimeters, and I can hit all 3 of these buttons relatively super duper quickly, allowing me to have more mount mobility. If I need to run in a PvP fight or run in a PvE fight, I can do this combination relatively quickly with very little hassle. Alright, let me scroll back down because it reset the damn position. I wish the scroll bars were a little thicker on the sides, Steven. Okay, what else do we have? Shift C, then I have Control 0, Control C, and Control equals. These are things that I would probably never press. I might bind this to something awkward like fishing, for instance. Action bar 3. I have mouse button 4. This is my second button on my mouse. I have 2 buttons on the left side of my mouse. That's what this one is. I also have, these would be Control WASD and X. But again, the game will not let me bind these, so they're just currently empty. Control EQRZ, Control tilde is something I normally bind to auto-follow, but this game does not have that functionality. So I'm using it for a button on the spell bar instead. Shift R is what I'm using on the vehicle mount, and I'm not using anything else because, I mean, I can always rebind these if I need it, but, you know, I don't have any advanced mounts that have cool abilities yet. Alright. Sport fishing, I kept default. Pet action bar, I kept default. So that's it for action bars. For targeting, alright, I have reverse as shift tab. This is the default for World of Warcraft. Target nearest enemy is B. I do not use this, but it can be useful because my melee, most of my melee abilities are the V keys. It's right next to B. If I ever need this for some reason, usually I just deselect target and then I re-tab target to target the nearest enemy. So that's just how World of Warcraft had it. Cycle friendly targets, control tab. This is also a World of Warcraft default, not so much an Ashes of Creation default. Alright, I don't have target nearest ally or cycle defensive or any of that bound. Clear target is delete, which I just use escape. I don't push delete. I don't use hard target lock. Target of target is control F. This is, think of it like focus target, kind of, sort of. It doesn't seem to be working, though, currently in the game. Target self and party members are the F keys. I never use these anyway. I might use F1 to target myself if I'm a healer and do like a snap decision. This is more of a Diablo 2 kind of muscle memory for me. But other than that, I'm not really using these. I'd rather just use the party frames and click on them if I need to heal somebody. Now, I have these as apply raid markers, and I think it's just faster for me to add a raid marker using the num keys than the number keys above WASD, not so much the numbers on numpad. That would be reaching all the way across the keyboard if I'm like, guys, attack axe, guys, attack moon, attack book. You know, though I'm not doing raids, I'm not shoutcasting or whatever, I'm not doing any of that crap. But if I were, it would be a lot easier and faster for me to do with these keybinds. Also, minus key and equals key I'm not really using. Remove raid marker. I don't have this bound because if I want to apply a raid marker to something, I just reapply it and that removes it, so it's a pointless keybind. For interface menus, I have my interact keys as F, H, and G. G being mount, this is default to Ashes of Creation. Also, it's what I used in Arcade. Interact 1 and 2. F is usually like gathering, chopping trees, whatever. And then H pops up rarely, but hey, it's next to G and H, so it's really easy to hit whenever I need to hit it. Interact 4 also on B, so that's cool. I've never had to use this, though. At least not yet. I don't know what this would be for. Close window, escape, you know, the usual defaults. Loot pass all. I would probably unbind this so I never accidentally hit it, but Control H is a very... It's not something I can reach with my pinky finger and thumb. I mean, I can, but it's a very twisted wrist movement. Not something I'm going to ever accidentally fat finger. But I definitely unbound greed all. That is a dumb button. And then all my menu buttons are all default. I didn't change any of these. And I didn't change any of this stuff either. Toggle FPS, I'm pretty sure this is all default. Alt-N for nameplates is default in WoW, I believe, as well. Under camera, I rebound toggle action camera to shift comma because that's not something I'm really ever going to hit. I'm not going to... It's a, lesser than sign. Action camera sucks. I think it's stupid, but it does have a functionality of letting you zoom out slightly more to get... Like say I have my camera angled as far out as possible, and I'm looking down. Well, when I toggle action camera, I get a little bit of, it rises the camera just a slight bit. So it may be useful if I'm trying to, like, film, you know, like, a video or get a thumbnail or something. Though, unfortunately, the action camera reticule is still there whenever you hide your UI. It's not something that I'm never using action camera for actual gameplay, but I might use it for, I don't know, camera altering purposes. Alright, under miscellaneous, so lock tooltip is my caps lock key. And so what does that do? Well, like if I want to hover over something, which, yeah, let's go to this chest. If I want to see what these items are in this chest, I would hit caps lock, which locks the window, and left-clicking the window makes it go away, but it locks the window. And then if I want to see what this does, I can lock this window, and then if this had an effect, I can lock that window, and so on and so forth. Yeah, so you can lock a bunch of windows if you really need to read what things do. This comes in handy whenever you have, like, weird abilities. Like, there's a bunch of stuff going on this. So I'll lock this window, lock that window, lock that window. Now I can read what all of this stuff does. And, you know, over time, it's just, you won't really need to read stuff because you'll have it in memory. But I think caps lock is a very quick and easy button to push for that option. Compare item tooltips. Left control is default for, like, most games. If I was to compare, like, my fishing poles here, I just hold left control, and I can see the difference. The main difference being 2 fishing speed, who cares? But durability, huge durability difference between these two items, and it's way easier than having to, like, mouse over this, and then go into your menu, and mouse over, you know, this, and try to remember all the numbers, and you can just hold control and compare them. So, again, that's actually not default. It's default in a lot of games, just not this one. Unstuck is numpad multiplication or asterisk. I've never had to use this yet. Mount flourish is control X. So what does that do? Let me show you. So you're on your mount, you hold control, you push X, and now your mount does a little happy dance. So there you go. It's just something for roleplay purposes. You might as well have it bound, and just for funsies. Finally, just a few random troubleshooting tips because this game is still in alpha. There's a few things you can do to just fix stuff. Alright, number one, if you're having trouble logging into things, go to your launcher, and then click this little cogwheel here at the top. And yeah, I know the in-game menu is kind of in the way and looking awkward, but yeah, click the cogwheel. And then under General, you can clear your login session and re-log in. Go to Game and clear your game cache settings, and then, of course, save all that stuff. And that will get you around some of the issues that won't let you log into your character. Secondly, if you're having issues with easy anti-cheat, not validating files or whatever, so how to fix this on Steam, go to your library on Steam, find Ashes of Creation, right-click it, go to Properties, go to Installed Files, and then click Verify Integrity of Game Files. You have to have the game closed to do this, by the way. This will take a while. It's going to re-download a bunch of files, and every single time there's a patch, 100% of the time, if I don't do this, I can't log into the game. So I have to do this every single time the game patches. It'll eventually be fixed, but right now, it's that's just how it is. Alright, so that's it for the settings guide. With these settings, make sure that you can hit all of your skill abilities. Don't be a skill clicker. I know this isn't 2004 World of Warcraft, but man, we bullied them back in the day for sure. But you want to make sure that you can tab target comfortably, hit all of your abilities while circling around, especially as a melee, as a caster. You want to be able to hit all of your movement abilities. And just a few extra tips too is like if you need to do a dodge, and you can carry momentum in one, like if you have a control button or an ability button that you can't move in every direction to push due to your hand or your wrist or your fingers, then one thing you can do to carry momentum forward is, like, if I want to jump behind a target and stab them, and let's say I couldn't swivel my mouse and push my 4 button, I totally can, because that's my 4 button, right? What you can do instead is you can jump forward, which carries your momentum, which frees up your hand from having to hold the W button for a few seconds, and with that free few seconds, you can then swivel your camera around and push whatever button you need. So there's a lot of workarounds, and you'll just have to use whatever works for you. But, you know, especially when doing things like air dodge rolls, you know, for me it's shift, and it's using both hands to do a dodge roll instead of one button. But that way I can choose every and all directions in order to dodge while also having, you know, my abilities to be cast. Or I can hit these buttons. But if I can't, then I'll jump in the direction I need to dodge roll. And you could also kind of do like a feint dodge roll. So like I could jump in this direction and then dodge roll the other way and kind of fake people out if they're trying to do like a skill shot, which there's not really many skill shots at the moment in the game. But that's just a few little things that you can do there. And anyway, I could go on for hours about how to control your character, how to do quick button pushes and whatnot. But you have to do what's comfortable with you. If you've been a long-time MMO player, I highly recommend that you just stick to your muscle memory I always keep a screenshot of every MMO I've ever played, my hotbars, so that when I do play a similar class, I can set it up accordingly. Like, for instance, in World of Warcraft, my ambush and backstab button was 4, or shift 4. So in this game, my stab button is also 4, if that makes sense. In World of Warcraft, my stealth button was 1, so in Ashes of Creation, my stealth button is 1. In Arcade, my stealth button was 1, so here, again, I'm just sharing the same abilities because my brain recognizes if I push the 1 button, I'll enter stealth, alright? That's just, again, muscle memory, just whatever your heart desires, whatever your body feels like it should push, make sure that you bind that button to push it. If you try to rewire your muscle memory, it's just going to be a very painful growing process. It's going to scramble the wires, the neurons in your brain, the connections that your brain has with your body, and you're not going to be able to respond as much. Anyway, I've wasted enough of your time. Hopefully this helps you have a better gameplay experience in Ashes of Creation. Also, if you have not played this game yet and you want to, there is a link in the description of this video with a referral, and I get a little bit of fun bucks to buy skins and stuff, which I never ever use skins in games. I'm a poor boy, I'm a broke boy in real life. So, getting game skins would be really cool for me to show off and have something more pretty for you guys to look at. But other than that, that's all I've got. Thanks for watching. I have no life, no friends, no family, which means I read every single comment. If you have any questions or you need advice, just drop a comment. I'll read it as long as I'm not asleep or out exercising. Like, yeah, I pretty much spend all my time just staring at my YouTube page anyway when I'm not playing a game. And with that said, also, you gotta click the video on the right side of your screen, because if you don't, you're gonna forget to clip your toenails and they're gonna be all gross and yellow.